Terminator 2 Judgment Day was released in 1991, directed by James Cameron and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, and Edward Furlong. A cyborg identical to the one who failed to kill Sarah Connor must now protect her 10-year-old son John from an even more advanced and powerful cyborg. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema. And welcome to my review of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I am a big fan of Terminator. I love Terminator. You guys know I love Terminator. I'm a really big fan of the original movie, and this is just one of the greatest sequels of all time. Greatest action sequels. When you talk about great sequels like The Empire Strikes Back, Aliens, also James Cameron, Terminator 2, most recently in the last 10 years, Dawn of the Apes, just great sequels, a great sci-fi action sequel. James Cameron takes the tone, more of an action-centric movie, full of great themes in this. The tone is great, even though I like that foreboding, dark horror kind of atmosphere in the first movie. I like that this movie is different, and it's not it is kind of a retread of the original Terminator for sure in a lot of ways, but I think there's things in this movie that people can relate to a lot more. One of the greatest things they do in this movie that makes it different is the switcheroo. This time we got Arnold showing up as the T-800, but he is on the Connor side. He's been reprogrammed to protect John Connor. We got an advanced prototype, the T-1000, played by Robert Patrick, who is the villain for Skynet trying to take John Connor out. And basically you get a clash of two Terminators, right? One really advanced Terminator and one that's reprogrammed to protect John. I absolutely love the way the movie starts with that narration by Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor. And then you get to see the future war a bit. You get to see John Connor out there, looking over the battlefield and everything. The Terminator is shooting people dying. It has that great blue, cold kind of lighting for everything. But it's foreboding. I love that sense of foreboding, right? And it opens up with some great titles, great intro, man. One of my favorite openings in a movie. And we fast forward 10 years here from 1984. It's 1994. We got a 10-year-old John Connor. I believe he's 10 years old anyway. And Sarah Connor has been locked up for blowing up a computer factory. He's in a foster home. I like how with John Connor in here, he's really developed. All the characters are really developed, but when we first meet him, he seems like this really badass, rebellious young kid, and he is, you know what I mean? But as we slowly learn more about him, there's a real sensitive side to him. He really shows his leadership throughout the movie. And I love the way Arnold's T-800, his Terminator, and John Connor go back and forth, the Asta Valista baby, and he's teaching him how to be more human. So you can't be such a dork all the time, all that. And this Terminator will do anything to protect John, no matter what. And there's a lot of themes in there of fatherhood. You'll hear a lot of people say that, John's grown up without a father, and he ends up in the future sending his father back so that he could be created, and that just would mess with your mind, man. So he looks at this Terminator as a father figure. They're kind of like this father-son dynamic that goes on. And there's a great moment where Sarah's just watching them both, and she does this great monologue about, no matter what, that Terminator will do anything to protect him.
Of all the would-be fathers who came and went over the years, this machine, was the only one who measured up. In an insane world, it was the sanest choice.
How odd is that this Skynet, this computer system this is destroying humanity in the future, also at the same time can learn about our humanity and can be the perfect thing for us in our humanity. And that end line, right? If a machine can learn the value of human life, then perhaps we can too. That's great writing in here, great stuff. So I love that between Arnold's T-800 and John Connor, and how it's all earned. And by the end of the movie, he's taught this machine everything, and to the point where Arnold sacrifices himself, Sarah puts him down on the lava, and then he gives him the thumbs up that he showed him earlier. And at the end of the movie, that's brilliant, man. That is just absolutely brilliant. But the best character is Sarah. Sarah Connor in here is just an amazing character in this movie. She is tough as nails. She is one bad bitch, for lack of a better word, in this movie, man. And they have to break her out of this insane asylum, and she's really leading the charge here. This is, it's still very much her movie. It's always been her story, kind of. You know what I mean? Teaching John, and they go on their own little conflicts and stuff like this throughout this, because when John hasn't seen her for a long time, they're being chased by the T-1000, and finally they get away. She's like, "Come here," and she's patting him down, like, he goes in to hug her, and she's just seeing if he's all right. And she's, saying, "It was stupid of you to break me out. I can take care of myself," and all that. Sarah in this has become like a machine herself, or she'll do anything to stop what's going on, even selling her own soul, even becoming like a Terminator, picking a target, assassinating the person no matter what. And that's where you get that great scene with Dyson, where she goes to his house and everything. And I just love that the fucking acting is brilliant here, man. Where she goes to shoot him, then she stops herself. She's shaking, she's holding the gun at the same time, and she's backing up. She's like, and that's where John comes and gives her a hug and everything. And they repeat that line, "I've loved you, John. I always have," kind of thing. She is just living in an absolute nightmare every day, having the same nightmare, getting a glimpse of the future that no one else has. So she's got some serious PTSD she's dealing with. And to put yourself in Sarah's shoes, like, what would you do? And I just absolutely love her character in this, that arc she goes on, where she's still tough at the end and everything. But she, a person who hates these things, who is, hates these machines, hates Skynet, hates what it's going to do to humanity, ends up shaking hands with this Terminator at the end of this movie, is quite brilliant, man. Now, there are two different cuts here. I still prefer the theatrical cut a little bit more, but the special edition cut does have some cool scenes in it, but I think the movie plays out really, really well just with the theatrical cut as well. And I think what Robert Patrick does in this movie is great as the villain, as the T-1000, where he can mold himself into liquid metal so he can become blunt objects and knives and all that kind of stuff. And he's got a little bit more personality to him. You know what I mean? He can almost have a little smirk. He can blend in a lot better. He blends in as a cop and everything like that. And when he's running and everything like that, I think he's just, when he's charging at people and he sets his sights, I mean, he is pretty unstoppable in this. You know what I mean? Seeing him and Arnold go at it with all their fight scenes is incredible. I especially like the end, that third act in the lava, the melting plant and everything like that, because Arnold gets taken out of action. And then we got Sarah taking on this T-1000. And, for all intents and purposes, give her one or two more bullets, she would have had the T-1000. She would have shot it, and it would have fell into the lava. And she runs out of bullets. And that's where he goes. But for all, she's badass. I know I'm going back to Sarah here, but she's a badass. I mean, for all intents and purposes, she saved the day. She saved John. But she didn't have enough bullets. Then Arnold comes along, shoots him. He splits. He goes down into the lava. You know what I mean? But yes, but all the characters here, the villain, Robert Patrick, Arnold, Linda Hamilton, Edward Furlong, all were really worked well together. And what the movie's really dealing with in its themes is this conflict of fate and free will. And let's just dissect that a little bit as the best I can here. It's like, in the first movie, it was all about, this is your fate. This is your fate. You're going to be the mother of John Connor, who's the leader of the resistance. You are going to have to train him and do it. There's nothing you can do about it. You got to let this thing play out. There's even a deleted scene in the original Terminator where she wants to blow up the factory, the computer factory, because her thinking is, let's take fate into our own hands here. There is no fate but what we make, kind of thing, right? And Reese says, that's not my mission. This is the deleted scene, mind you. That's not my mission. I'm here just to protect you. You know what I mean? To make sure and kill this Terminator, kind of thing. So Jimmy Cameron plays onto that. Now it's like these, like John, the Terminator, Sarah, they say, no, fate is what we make. And that's when she actually decides to go kill Dice and everything, because she's going to take fate into her own hands. So they decide to blow up Skynet, get rid of everything so that this thing can never be born. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's this dissection of, are we bound to this fate? Are we bound to this thing in our lives that we have to play out? There's no free will in our decisions. Everything's pre-planned for us. Or are we in charge of our own destiny here? And it's dissecting and playing into those themes of the fate and free will for sure. These are central themes in this thing. The fatherhood between Arnold and John, and fate versus free will, the conflict of fate and free will. Now we got all the heavy stuff out of the way, guys. This is heavy, man. Action is fantastic in this movie. The chase sequences are fantastic. The fight scenes, especially that third act when they escape Skynet, they blow it up or whatever, all the cops out there, and they're in that truck, and they're getting away from the T-1000 and being chased by the helicopter. And then they got to switch. They're in an armored vehicle, and then they got to switch, and they get into this little tiny pickup truck trying to outrun this thing. And they go into the smelting plant. Once he hits that gas, James Cameron, it's just phenomenal action. No one directs action like James Cameron, man. He gets you the carrot of all the characters first, sprinkles the action in, but there always comes a point in his movies, once he hits the gas, he doesn't let off. And I just love how he paces the action out in his movies. There's no one better at this. No one. And Brad Fiedel, bring in another amazing score. The themes are still a lot of the same from Terminator 1, but I think it's a lot more crisp and a lot more energy to this score, I would say. I still like that first score the most, but this score is really, really good too, man, that they did in this. It's another one that just blends action and comedy and traces of horror in there, and blends it all so smoothly. There is a little bit of gore here and there, when he pokes the guy with the eye, or the T-1000, the knife right through the mouth and everything like that. So it blends a lot of things so seamlessly. And I just love that about movies like this. It's sci-fi action, little traces of horror. It's got all the comedy. It's just entertaining, man. It's just a great entertaining freaking movie. When Sarah keeps having that dream and she's at the park and the nuclear bomb goes off and she's just burning up into a pile of ash. Don't get much horror than that, man. It doesn't get much horror than that. It's just phenomenal. And I can't forget the effects work. The effects work in this movie was incredible for its time. It still looks way better than a lot of things that have been out in the last 20 years. You know what I mean? I couldn't believe the effects work with the T-1000 and everything, and all the effects that they did with him, all that jazz, especially like when he's coming out of the tile floor in the hospital, when he turns into different blunt like knives, and that hook thing, that when he opens the elevators, whenever the Arnold shoots him and stuff like that, and he splits and stuff like that. It's just, the effects work is phenomenal. He does that big iconic line, "Hasta la vista, baby," and he's liquid nitrogen, and he's like, he breaks apart into all these little pieces and everything. Just phenomenal stuff, man. Phenomenal effects. Like James Cameron is always on the progressive end. He's always on the cutting edge of in the movie business. You know what I mean? So great stuff there, man. But what else can I say, guys? T2 is just an amazing action sequel with, characters that you love spending time with. The action's fantastic, and everyone going on their own journey, everyone going on their character arc, conflicts resolved, all that, rich themes, just fantastic stuff, man. So on your next movie night, you want some action, you want some comedy, you want a bit of everything, put on Terminator 2 Judgment Day. You will not be disappointed, and you'll have a great time watching some good old Terminator. I'm going to give Terminator 2 from 1991 an A. What about you guys? What do you think of Terminator 2? Do you like it? Don't you like it? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure 90% of you love this movie, for sure. Especially if you follow my channel. Great flick, so I'm interested to hear your thoughts on Arnold and what, you think of this movie. And that will conclude Arnold Schwarzenegger month, guys. So thank you for all the views. Thank you for the thumbs up, talking to you in the comment section, all that kind of stuff. This has been a blast, guys. So make sure you comment down below again, and we'll talk some more Arnold. And heading into May, and if this is out while we're in May, May's kind of like a free-for-all. I'm taking requests, so let me know any movies you would like me to review. It's kind of I'm opening the channel up to you guys for May. And then we got a lot more stuff coming down the pipe down the road, guys. So thank you so much for all your support. As always, my name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema. I'll see you next time, and I'll see you in the movies. Cheers.